right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Hot Topics, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We do it for you every single day. I'm not even going to, this man needs no introduction. I know that sounds like a cliche, but he doesn't. There's Lathan. Van, how you doing, brother?
I'm well, my man. How you?
I'm great. Let's talk about everything that's happening, okay? Do you want to start with Trump? Do you want to start with Kanye? Do you want to start with the Super Bowl? Do you want to start with the Grammys? You tell me, we can go anywhere.
You are the big homie. We start where you say start.
All right, so let's talk about what I love what you said, and I agree with you. I said, why don't you just say the word? And you know what I mean by the word. You said that DEI is worse than that word.
Yeah. So the reason why is because the N-word the N-word, right? The N-word as a slur has existed to dehumanize Black people for a long time. And there's been a definition that signals not a person, not a human being, which is the reason why it still stirs up the emotions that it does. The DEI thing now is associating Black people with cataclysm in a way that I'm not sure even the N-word did. Meaning, if there is a fire and there is a Black person in the office that's supposed to deal with the fire, it's because that Black person is there. The moment that this unspeakable tragedy happens in DC, we start finding a way to blame DEI. Okay, let's make sure, or let's see if anybody piloting any of these planes or in the control tower was not a straight white male, which means that was the reason that this happened. The list goes on and on. There's a bridge collapse in Baltimore. A duly elected mayor is called a DEI mayor, a duly elected mayor. So what DEI, or the term DEI, or the weaponization, the bastardization of the term DEI, what it does is it says all of society's problems are because this group of people, heavily associated with Black people, as we've seen it used, but also gay people, trans people, women, and anyone of the like. The reason why we don't have a lethal military, Pete Hegseth says, is because of DEI. So it doesn't just seek to dehumanize you, it makes you the issue, the bottom problem of all of society, just because it doesn't reinforce the white male orthodoxy, the religious belief that only straight white males can deliver functioning societies in our world today.
Right after the plane crash happened, I mean, they didn't even have all the bodies out of the water. Sadly, I know that sounds harsh. And Donald Trump went to the podium to say this about it. Watch.
Because they put a big push to put diversity into the FAA's program. Then another article, the Federal Aviation Administration, this was before I got to office, recently, second term. The FAA is actively recruiting workers who suffer severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatric problems, and other mental and physical conditions under a diversity and inclusion hiring initiative spelled out on the agency's website. Can you imagine? These are people that are, I mean, actually, their lives are shortened because of the stress that they have. Brilliant people have to be in those positions, and their lives are actually shortened, very substantially shortened, because of the stress, where you have many, many planes coming into one target.
When you heard that shit, what did you say? First of all, none of that's true is what he's saying.
No, that's true.
There's no evidence that any of that has happened.
Right. So it's gobbledygook, but he's not giving a speech as much as he's giving a sermon. And that sermon is based upon reinforcing a religious belief. Like, if you grew up in the church, you know that when things go right, it's because God is blessing you. And when things go wrong, it's because God is teaching you a lesson. But the most important thing is that you have the faith and the belief of the people in the core thing, which is that there is a presiding power above you that governs all things. The religious belief here is that Black people, is that anybody other than straight white people cannot operate society. That anybody besides the people who look like Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are going to lead to planes falling out of the sky. And once you've established that belief and people have bought into that, you can then literally conjure evidence out of no place and feed that to them and it'll be like the scripture on the Sunday. The only difference is that the scriptures is real.
Yeah. Well, someone asked him about that in that same briefing. He took some reporter questions and they were like, how can you, with no evidence, how can you? And he said, common sense. Watch.
Today blamed the diversity elements, but then told us that you weren't sure that the controllers made any mistake. You then said perhaps the helicopter pilots were the ones who made the mistake.
It's all under investigation.
I understand that. That's why I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't. We want brilliant people doing this. This is a major chess game at the highest level. When you have 60 planes coming in during a short period of time, and they're all coming in different directions, and you're dealing with very high-level computer work and very complex computers. And one of the other things I will tell you is that the systems that were built, I was going to rebuild the entire system, and then we had an election that didn't turn out the way it should have.
Okay. And he says it's because of common sense. Am I the only one who sees this? That he has no idea what he's talking about, but he's saying it with confidence, at least pretending to have confidence about it. And I guess that's why people are buying into it. And when I looked at it, I was like, this man has no idea what he's talking about. But there are many, many people in this country who believe it's bullshit.
Yeah, because it's a simple answer, and it's an answer that people, it's not something that they're being taught for the first time. It's something that they're being retaught. So a lot of the problems that progressive people, progressives, or anyone who is of the belief that we should move society along, a lot of the problems that they have is teaching people something for the first time. So when you're talking about trans rights, or when you're talking about the African American experience, or when you're talking about women's rights or stuff like that, a lot of the things that you're talking about, when you get deep into them, they're complicated, and you're teaching people them for the first time, right? If you're telling someone, hey, this is my identity and this is the way I would like to be seen in the world, maybe that's something they never heard before. It doesn't make sense to them. If you're saying, hey, there's a way to teach the history of race in America that reorients the experience of Black people and reframes where we should be in the country right now, right? They're like, oh, I never got taught that before. Like, it's, how do you do that? But if you teach them that white men are better than all other people, and white men are the only people capable of operating society, you are teaching them something that they've already learned. You're just saying it plainly. So when Donald Trump says that's common sense, he's right. It is the common belief in America that only people that look like Donald Trump, and only people that look like J.D. Vance, and only people that went to Harvard and Yale, and only people that have the type of advantage that they have are capable of keeping planes from falling out of the sky. So when you say that to people, they don't think, oh my God, like, how do I wrap my mind around that? What they think is, a lot of people, is, oh my God, someone is finally willing to say what we all know, which is that we're better off in the hands of white men.
Yeah. We're speaking to Van Lathan of the Higher Learning podcast, along with Rachel Lindsay over iHeart, right? Is that you guys? And it's
Spotify.
Also on
Bite your tongue, Don.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Spotify, don't get mad at me. Spotify's gonna get mad at me, and they're gonna take me off their channel. No, Spotify, Higher Learning, Rachel Lindsay and Dan Lathan. Yeah. And so listen, we're so happy to have you here. And if you're watching, by the way, you know you have to hit the thumbs up, you have to hit the likes, also become a subscriber. That is free. If you hit that at the bottom of your screen, you should be able to see it. And if you want to become a member, that link is posted in the top of the chat. Okay. And it's easy, right? Very reasonable memberships. And also, same thing when you're watching Higher Learning. So, Van, you have had your run-ins with the next individual that I'm going to talk about. And I'm talking about Kanye.
Oh, yeah.
You know him very well, but we're going to talk about it. And I'm going to show your interaction with him. But first, this was my interaction with him on the other day at the Grammy Awards on the red carpet. It was quick, but watch.
Hey, Kanye. Right.
Kanye, when is Bully gonna come out? When is Bully coming?
Yay. I changed my name to Yay.
Yay. When is Bully coming out?
This year.
This year.
Some
What, what artist you want to get on right now?
Oh, yeah.
We see someone. My producer, please me some information right here.
Yeah.
And then
What artist you want to get on?
Yeah, what artist you want to put on right now? Album on the way.
Kanye, the #1 artist you want to put on right now?
Give me a second, I'm focused.
no interviews. And then he turns into no interviews. So look, let me tell you why I did that. We were at the Grammys, and you have to read the room, right? They don't want us. I figured those people didn't want us talking about hard politics. I didn't want to do that. I could have really roasted him on the stuff that he was tweeting. I would have asked him probably a harder question past that. But it was also a fundraising event for a lot of artists who have lost. Some of them have lost everything. So I said, I'll ask him about his music. He's very influential with the Grammys. You know, he's does great music. Blah 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 blah. And so then he later tweets out this, Van. Or he puts it on Instagram. I think he called me, what did he say? This the goofball that started the rumor that me and my wife got kicked out of the Grammys. 3 decades of innovating music, and they always coons like this. Yeah. So Kanye West called me a coon. By the way, he had to take it down because he was wrong. That actually wasn't true. But Kanye West, the nerve, calling me a coon, really? Okay.
Did you start the rumor? Did you do that?
No, I did not start the rumor.
Look, man, look. So I don't really get into the whole calling of coons and all that stuff. Like,
yeah,
if you are a Black person that is espousing anti-Black rhetoric, I'd rather talk about the rhetoric and why you believe it. And you know, where I'm from, we from the same place, legitimately the same place, the exact same place.
Baton Rouge,
Louisiana. So my daddy always told me, you call a man a coon or Uncle Tom, got to be willing to fight him. So I'm not out here trying to have physical altercations with people and to try to be disrespectful with people. So I don't call them coons or Uncle Toms. If I was, though, if I was to say that someone had endeavored into things that I believe are anti-Black or at cross purposes what I think Black advancement or Black intellectual technology should be, I would say that Kanye West has exhibited some of those things in the past. You know, if you ask Kanye who he looks up to, he very rarely names anybody Black. It's I'm Tesla, I'm Disney, I am Steve Jobs, I'm all of these people. You know, things like that.
Man, he actually said that he admired Hitler.
Right? So I mean, that's as anti-Black, and as he says, he likes Hitler. That's as anti-Black as it gets. I think that what somebody like Kanye has is the ability, because of his cult of personality, to make anyone that he has an issue with into anything that he says they are, kind of just like Donald Trump almost, right? So it's like Kanye West can say that he likes Hitler. He's not a coon. He can then blame you for something and then say that you are a coon. So I would think that the coon is somebody who would like align themselves with someone whose rhetoric is so harmful to Black people that it leads to them being killed. But not, once again, I don't call Kanye West a coon or call anyone a coon, but it just seems to me that there's no actual politic or intellectual consistency in almost anything that he says. It's what's on his mind and heart right now. It doesn't matter how responsible it is. One day he's a Christian and he won't even curse. The next day, his wife is taking her clothes off, all of her clothes off, on the red carpet, which I have no problem with. Hey, get butt naked on the red carpet. I enjoyed it. But all I'm saying is that literally that same guy, a year and a half, 2 years prior to then, wouldn't curse and was talking about just how holy he was. So it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to pay that much attention to him.
I was checking my notes. I was looking down to try to figure out what date this was. What was the date that you, because I think this is the most eloquent, really discussion that I have seen with Kanye West was with you when you worked at a different place, right? Well, do you remember when it was? Because I was looking to try to figure out.
Would have been like 18. Would have been like 18,
2018.
probably like 2018. Yeah.
2018. So check this out. This is Van, and I thought it was an amazing job what he did. Here it is.
That I'm being free and I'm thinking free.
I think what you're doing right now is actually the absence of thought. And the reason why I feel like that, because Kanye, you're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to believe whatever you want. But there is fact and real world, real life consequence behind everything that you just said. And while you are making music and being an artist and living a life that you've earned by being a genius, the rest of us in society have to deal with these threats to our lives. We have to deal with the marginalization that has come from the 400 years of slavery that you said for our people was a choice. Every day we have to walk into that truth while you choose to say things that, to be honest with you, dog, are nonsensical. You want to think freely? That's fine. I'll combat your free thought with my free thought because mine is grounded in a reality that I've been given and a reality that I'm going to change, but I'm not going to do it by pretending that the enemies are on the same team as me. And frankly, I'm disappointed, I'm appalled, and brother, I am...
I cut off.
What would you say? You're outraged or something? I forget exactly what you said.
I was hurt. He hurt me. He hurt my feelings.
So that was a young, good-looking guy too, by the way. Didn't have the beard, you know. Didn't have the hat.
Right.
But you were referring to him because he was cozying up to Donald Trump and wearing MAGA hats and going to the Oval Office and such.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's one thing. And that had led to my disillusion with him for a while. But actually, what I was responding to is him saying 400 years of slavery. That seems like a choice.
Oh, right. Right.
Yeah. So it was ahistorical. It was ahistorical then. It's ahistorical now. If anyone is interested in the history of Black Americans, you're interested in the history of survival and overcoming some of the worst circumstances that human beings can be subjected to. And a lot of that had to do with many different forms of revolting. Some of those revolts were violent, Nat Turner. Going to be violent in the case of Denmark VC, which, you know, when you talk about Black people, you talk about Haiti, you're talking about people who took up arms all over the world. But then you also talk about all kinds of other ways that Black people stood up for themselves, all kinds of other ways that they used the power of culture, the power of connection, and really, really intricate protests to stop work, to get themselves out of their situation. In my opinion, a slave who was an enslaved person who is a mother risking her life to leave a plantation and walk to another to mother her children, that is protest. That is standing in the way of white supremacy. And it's doing it in a way that doesn't put your body at harm, but that reinforces the love that you have for your children and for family. And those types of things were happening all the time if you know your history. If you don't know your history, you can believe the white supremacist lie that Black people in some way are docile or easy to control or easy to trick, and that they had no interest in their own freedom. And once you've internalized that, once you've believed that, they can make you believe anything else. So my ancestors are off limits.
Mm-hmm. Why would Kanye do something like that? And why do we? Should I not even responded to him? I don't know. Why
should you have not responded to him?
Yeah.
No, why wouldn't you not respond to him? Yeah, you respond, of course.
Because usually I ignore that, something like that. But I'm just wondering if he is like Trump, he gets us to play into all of his madness and it's just fun for him. Or if he actually takes offense to things that aren't really real.
Well, I mean, if it's fun for him, it's got to be fun for you, right? I mean, because none of it matters. So what I'm saying is, if the way I look at Kanye, there was a time, and let me explain to you the part of it while I was hurt. And people are entitled to believe whatever they want to believe. They're entitled to believe whatever they want, right? And so there might be some people that say, hey, when Kanye West was criticizing the same people that you are criticizing or believed the same things that you believe politically, you're on his side, he had a change of heart, and then you switched up on him. Whatever. The only thing I thought was beyond him was to take a stab at Blackness directly, to where he communicated that there was something defective about us. But I had to realize something. None of it matters. None of it's real. There's nothing behind it. He is born of and comes from a deep, deep history of Black intellectualism, right? And he was surrounded by people who were some of the best people around. Like, I've actually met people in Kanye's orbit that were around him in the early days, and these are some fantastic amazing, really, really, really pure people. And I don't want to even say their names because I don't want to put him at odds with them. But with him, you can't count on anything. You can't count on anything about him. You can't count on his Christianity. You can't count on his politic. You can't. There's nothing about it that's real. So if he gives you a little blues, you might as well have some fun with it because it doesn't matter. It's not like you're in an argument with someone who is really seeking to do anything other than have people worship him or enrich himself. So what difference does it make? Like, comment as much as you want. Go back and forth. Let it do something for you. But the Kanye West that I thought actually had a real worldview that was based in making people's lives better and speaking up for voiceless people and protecting them, that guy is a facade. It was always a lie. So fuck it.
Yeah. I know you've been discussing this whole thing with because we're going to talk about going to the Super Bowl next, and this reminded me, and there will be people performing. Kendrick will be performing, but I want to talk about people who performed at the inauguration. Let's talk about Snoop, and because I know you've been talking about it. Yeah, I want to talk about Snoop because I saw Snoop at an after party at the Grammys. I had a conversation with him. I said, "Hey, I want to have a conversation with you. Let's talk." And he said, "Yeah, let's do it." And so, to make a long story short, and not to betray the confidence of some of the things, the intimate details or the private details of our conversation, let me just say that he told me I'm okay with you talking about what we discussed. And I said, okay. So basically, he's saying his version is that crypto is the reason that he went, that it wasn't for Donald Trump, that it was for David Sachs, but it was also because he believes that you have to be in the room. And he wants us as Black people to be able to create generational wealth and real wealth for ourselves. And you can't do that unless you're in the conversation, unless you're in the boardroom, so to speak. And he says, that was his reason. And he said, wait till you see what comes. But he wants to teach Black people how to become wealthy, basically.
I don't believe him.
Mm-hmm.
And let me put it to you like this. Nobody, like there's no one that is a genuine member of the Black cultural community. It's very difficult to look at Snoop and not smile. It's very difficult. Whenever I start this criticism or answer these questions or whatever, when it comes to him, it's reflexive for me to be like, how much I love Snoop, because that's real. That affinity is real. That like affection is real. Snoop was able to like inhabit this weird space to where he's one of the few people that as soon as you see him, you're like, oh man, Snoop
Doggy.
Yeah, it's like one of those people like that you're like, oh man, it's time to have fun, Snoop here. And if Snoop is someplace that makes that place a little cooler, if Snoop is someplace that makes whoever he's around cool, he has this ability to have that unbelievable star power rub off on people and on things. It's not gonna work this time. It's not happening. It's not gonna rub off on MAGA. It's not gonna rub off on the crypto bros. It's not gonna rub off on none of those people. No, hell no. I'm not 13. It's not. I don't believe him. I don't believe that. I believe that. Do I believe that Snoop cares about the Black community? Sure. There's nothing to believe. He's spent decades pouring into the Black community, right? Mm-hmm. So do I believe that? Yeah, sure. Do I believe that Snoop has done about face on Donald Trump or being near Donald Trump for any other reason than things that are in his own self-interest? No, I don't. And it started off with a very direct event. Donald Trump came through for Snoop. He pardoned Michael Harris, which is one of the founders of Death Row Records. And that's something that Snoop had been campaigning for. lobbying the Trump administration for. And on the way out the door, Trump did that. And all of a sudden, Snoop's rhetoric towards Trump changed. This is before the inauguration. This is before when Snoop had said that he had nothing but love and respect for Donald Trump. This is before when Snoop said both sides are out to divide you. Now, this rhetoric is completely different than Snoop in 16 when he called people Uncle Toms and Jigaboos and all of that stuff for performing at the inauguration. I never called them that. He called them that.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I don't think that the MAGA movement is any less dangerous now than it was in 16. As a matter of fact, I think it's more dangerous. I think the mandate, the flimsy mandate that Donald Trump has now is going to make him act in a more brazen and destructive way. And I think that's going to have huge, huge impacts on the Black people that Snoop said he wants to empower with the crypto stuff. I just don't believe it. I don't believe him. It's not for me to believe. It's whatever he wants to do. He is his own man. But if he's telling you that there's a reason why I'm getting close to Donald Trump or where I am now caught up in the MAGA world or anything like that, I think, number one, that's the wrong way to do it. And number two, I just don't believe that. So there you have it.
Do you think this is damaging for him?
Certainly, yeah. Yeah, I think it's damaging for him. And I think something else. And I don't know Snoop. I have a personal relationship with Snoop. I've never even had a conversation with Snoop. I think very soon, Snoop is going to come to terms with the fact that he is not as universally beloved as he was a month ago. Like, I watched Snoop on Instagram. I didn't unfollow him, or I don't leave crazy comments or anything like that. Once again, that's a grown man with a family living his own life, right? But the legacy of being someone that your community can feel safe with, that they can feel safe with, it's worth more than any amount of crypto he could be given. Like the reality that someone can look at any figure and be like, damn, I know that guy with us. Like, I know he's with us. Anytime there's any small glitch, he comes out on the right side of things. I know he's with us. Even if Snoop and to a lesser extent Nelly, even if they had a real open dialogue, not a browbeating session like Nelly had with the great and amazing Willie D, like like a dialogue about this, it will go a long way for people thinking we can still be safe with Snoop. But if Snoop is with them, we just can't be safe with them. And if there's a reason that he feels safe in MAGA, because that tweet said, "Welcome to MAGA Snoop Dogg." That's what the tweet said. Yeah. And a picture of Snoop with that kid. If Snoop wasn't a part of MAGA, he should have said, hat on. He should have said, "I'm not a part of MAGA. I just did." He hasn't said that. So we can't feel safe with Snoop anymore. Some of us, not all of us, not a monolith. We can't feel safe with Snoop anymore. And that's something Snoop has to contend with.
It's interesting because there are three, and maybe there are others, but three sort of Black people in the entertainment space that sort of transcended all, right? They were universally loved by everybody, and that's Queen, right?
Yeah, for sure.
LL, and Snoop, and at one time Will Smith, right? And so
at one time Will Smith, of course.
At one time, it was so, like, they could go anywhere. Like my friend, I had friends that say, "Oh, Don, you're white famous," but I'm like, "No, I'm not." But those people, every different demographic, all across the world, and you no longer think that Snoop is in that category?
Yeah, he's still there. It will take more than this to pull him out of there. Snoop is one of the most famous men on the planet, but politics makes you polarizing. And once again, look, it would be one thing if Snoop had never had an opinion on politics before. People would look at this and they would say, "Oh, what did Snoop learn? Snoop talk to us, like whatever." But this is a reversal. And so once again, it wasn't going to cost Snoop anything not to be MAGA. Nothing. It wasn't going to cost Snoop anything. Snoop was still the same guy. He was still going to be beloved by whomever was going to love him on that side because he's Snoop Dogg and there's no real politic or deal there other than what Donald Trump wants in the moment. But when he shows up with them, we are going to look at him in a specific way. So I don't think that this is the 800,000 Instagram followers that he lost. That's a drop in the bucket for him. He's got like 90 million or something like that. That's not going to matter. But we just look at him different.
Yeah.
And if he don't care, he don't care. It's his business. What difference? He's so. But we look at him different, and that will endure.
Yeah. What do you think of Will at the Grammys?
It's odd, right?
I was surprised to see him.
Yeah, I was glad to see him.
Yeah,
like I was glad to see him. I thought the reception to him was odd, but I was happy to see him. I'm happy to see Will Smith.
I was in the audience and I was happy to see him as well because and then I thought it was like I guess is cancel culture is cancel over because Will is there. And I'm saying that because I was happy to see him. But why did you? Number one, is it over? And number two, why do you think the reception was weird? Because I was in the room.
So number one, I don't think cancel culture was ever a thing. I think there are only a couple of people that have actually been canceled. And one of them was on the opposite. One of them is Colin Kaepernick. They took his life's work from him. They like that seems like super dramatic to say, but they took Colin Kaepernick's life work from him, his life's work from him. So they actually were able to not cancel Colin Kaepernick as a person that we care about, but they were able to cancel him as a football player. So that's somebody actually got canceled. Other than that, I mean, you still see Louis C.K. still selling out shows, and you see a lot of these people come back. They lay low for a little while and they come back. So I think the canceling is a Twitter thing. You can get canceled on Twitter where you're persona non grata there, but it doesn't matter because if your constituency is large enough, then you'll continue. I mean, I still see Alex Jones like if $1 billion. If he can't be canceled, then nobody can. First of all, Will didn't really do anything. He had a bad night. Okay, he did something that he shouldn't have done, right? But it wasn't a thing. Will didn't do a thing, right? There's things when you attack, when you force yourself on women, or when you're a racist, or whatever. What Will had was a personal failing,
that happened publicly.
That happened publicly.
Right. That
if Will and Chris could work it out, or if Will and Chris, we should all be like, okay, cool. And there's a little bit of latent racism in the reason why people treated Will the way that they treated Will as well. But I don't want to get into the whole thing there. But like when I saw him, I was happy to see him there, but it didn't look like the crowd was clear on whether or not it was cool to be down with Will Smith yet.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so I thought what he said was really heartfelt, and I was in the room. But my question, what I thought, Van, was it because it was sort of an in memoriam thing, a tribute to someone? Was it because of a tribute? And that was just sort of how the room was feeling. It wasn't like something that you were, you weren't yelling and screaming because somebody was performing and like, oh, here comes such and such. And so I was just wondering if it was that it was not an in memoriam, but a tribute to someone who was beloved, right? And then I thought people in the room were like, am I supposed to applaud? I'm not sure how I'm. And so you noticed that even were you in the room or were you at home?
I was at home and I'm watching it and I'm like,
yeah, was that that happened? You could see that on the TV. Okay.
I'm like, it's Will Smith there. It's like Will Smith is right there. It's the Fresh Prince. And people were kind of, it was a little bit, and I'll be honest with you, the whole Quincy tribute was a little off kilter for me. But I just think that I think, Will is back insofar as he's had hit movies before. I think a lot of people have moved on. But even though the Recording Academy and the Motion Picture Academy are two different things, it was still Will back at an award show, up on stage, under those lights. I think some people were like, what am I supposed to do now? And so I don't know if it quite landed, but it's not his fault. He's living his life.
Yeah. Amen. I agree with that. You going to the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am.
Are you staying at home? You going to Baton Rouge or you going to NOLA?
No, I'm going to New Orleans. I'm glad that you brought this up. What's happening in New Orleans should be illegal, Don. Okay, this should be illegal.
You mean betting on football? What are you talking about?
I'm not talking about betting on football. So, my company made all the arrangements. I'm staying at a hotel I've never stayed at before. Whatever. I was like, you know what? When I go down to New Orleans, treat myself. Like, I'm staying at the Four Seasons. It's right there on the water. It's great. Blah blah blah. We love it.
Right.
$8,000 a night was the Four Seasons. What the hell? And then I'm like, okay, fine. Four Seasons is out. Let me see if I can get, the
Windsor
Marriott
Court,
or something.
maybe the
Yeah,
Ritz,
whatever.
right? Maybe the Sheraton.
$5,000 a night at the Marriott. That should not be legal. It is $600 a night to stay at the Motel 6 in Metairie. There is no way. That shouldn't be legal. How could that be legal to do that?
That's gouging.
That's the shame on the Crescent City and everything that's going down. I can't believe it.
Can I tell you where I'm staying?
Where?
I'm driving my ass back to Baton Rouge every day. Well, look, I got my excuse. No, it's not an excuse. It's real. My sister was just in the hospital or whatever, so I want to go see her and see my family. But yeah, it's crazy. I checked on some of those things. I used to stay at the Windsor Court. I love the Windsor Court, right? I love where it is. It's great. Sometimes you stay at the Ritz, you get that Ritz floor where you free drinks all day and you go in for a little snack.
Yep.
I was like, wait, how much? American dollars?
Nuts. And for that reason, I think the tickets to the game are going to be cheap because I don't know that many people that could afford to come down there and stay. I think the tickets for the game you're going to be able to get them at the last minute. You're going to be able to, if you could swing it, you're going to be able to go to the Super Bowl in a way that you haven't before because I've never seen nothing like this. But you know what else I noticed? And last thing I'll say about this is that what you just described is eye-opening to me because when we go to New Orleans, we don't get hotels. We drive into New Orleans, we do our thing, and then we go back home. So I've never dealt with this before. Unless it's Bayou Classic. Yeah. Unless it's Bayou Classic, yeah. But crazy, Don. Crazy. I'll be there, though. 4 days. Not on me, on the company.
Let's talk about Kendrick because he's going to be performing. Sure. So last night, you were happy for him?
Of course.
Is this the number one? I said it a couple times on social media. This is a number one diss track ever, don't you think?
In ways, it is for sure. I mean, so it's funny. The conversation before this was where Back to Back, which was Drake's diss track against Meek Mill, where that ranked historically because that was maybe the last one to really penetrate pop culture like that. You had all the great ones take over Ether, No Vaseline, Hit 'Em Up. Some really great ones, even some ones that don't get as much play, like Mama Said Knock You Out, Second Round Knockout, River Strikes Back. All of these diss tracks are out there. And there's a deep, long history of these beefs in hip hop. Common got busy. Y'all go back and look at the Common Ice Cube battle. That's some real hip hop for you. But this one different, bro. This one is the number one undisputed king of rap pop, like artist of the decade for the 2010s, getting leveled by his equal. The record has been embraced. It went 5 for 5 at the Grammys. It broke all kinds of streaming records. The records it's been embraced in a way a diss track never really has been. I mean,
that's why I asked that. But let me ask you: Did Kendrick cancel Drake? Is Drake? Because people are like, "Oh, Drake is ended. It's over. He's not coming back."
Nah. You get to a level, and Drake is at a level to where his what he's accomplished is enough for him to always have be a mainstay. If Drake drops in a couple of months, people are going to want to hear what Drake has to say. As a matter of fact, I think when Drake,
this will make people probably want to hear what he has to say even more, right? Because of the success of this record, they want to see what he's going to have to say. But I mean, have you had diss tracks? Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm ignorant of the subject where people are suing record labels.
Nah, never happened.
So that's what I'm saying. This is different. This hit different.
Well, it did. I mean, it is different. I think the question about whether or not Drake is canceled is one question. I think another question is, no, I don't think Drake is canceled. I don't think Drake is done. but I don't think Drake will ever be the same.
I shouldn't have said canceled. It ended him. That's what people say. It ended him.
Right. Hasn't ended him. Drake has not ended any way, shape, or form, but he'll never be the same. And that is a paradigm shift in hip hop, because for such a long time, Drake has been directly associated with just ridiculous chart success, ridiculous song making, hit making success with his pen and with his voice and with his features. And I think that undeniableness of him, like Drake equals, I think that's probably done. Drake as an entity, not done, but I don't think he'll ever be the same again. I think Not Like Us was the nail in that coffin.
I look, I don't like going to award shows. You know the whole thing. You know, the seat fillers of it all and the break. And you can't get back. You can't move during this. I'm like, no. But this was really good last night. I was like, I was screaming like a teenager when Beyonce won. I was like, Beyonce. I was like, Don, who are you? What has gotten into you? What did you think about her win? Finally,
fantastic. Yeah. I mean, once again, I don't want to inject politics and race into everything, but they made our queen wait, didn't they?
They did. They made her wait.
Made her wait. She's been doing this since she was 17 years old, even earlier, right? 17 years old, a run of albums like we never seen before, like on the, not the cutting edge of music, the bleeding edge of music, continuously. And they made her wait for it, but she got it. Yeah. And we can clap our hands and stomp our feet. And then they didn't give it to her for some bullshit either. They didn't give it to her for Beyonce with Tony Bennett and they doing the standards. Like they gave it to her for something that was very important for her to do and a body of work that was really amazing. So kudos and congrats to Beyonce.
Well, kudos and congrats to you on your success and higher learning. You and Rachel Lindsay, you're the best. Look, I hope I run into you down in New Orleans. We can have a little fun, little cocktail. And you can, I want to check out what's under the cowboy hat.
It's growing in good.
Can you show us? You want to?
No, I do. See, it's growing. See, the light's bad. The light's bad. But all of this hair part right here, that's all the part where they implanted the hair. It's growing in good. You just can't see it. The light looks bad right there, but it's coming back. I'm coming back, Don.
Look, I have a little light right here. It's always, should I get some right there? But it's always been that way.
Don, you got a good head of hair. Don't try to be. Hold on for a second. See, I hate when y'all do this. Don't try to be like us. Okay, you're not one of us, Don. You're one of the genetic winners. I'm looking at you right now. You got a good head of hair. You got a good strong right hairline. It's fine. I don't need your inclusion with us, the balding Spaldings. We don't need you. Okay, you're fine. Like, stay where you are. If I see you in Turkey, I'm gonna be pissed off. You're taking up spots for us.
I thought you were trying to say like I'm light skinned or something, and I'm not like you. No, because you're almost the same.
Yeah, you got but you got a good. If I was there, I wouldn't have gone and sat down with the people over at Ziering Medical.
You did Dr. Ziering. Yeah, I heard of him. Yeah. All right, brother. Hey, look, you're the best. You're a good brother.
Appreciate you, my man.
Thank you. Look, make sure you guys tune in to Higher Learning Podcast and check out Van Lathan and Rachel Lindsay. So thank you guys. I'm gonna talk to the subscribers just a little bit. So I'll see you later, brother. You can click out of here. We'll get out of here. So that was Van Lathan. Van talked to us about it. That was kind of black talk, right? It was supposed to be just talk about everything. It ended up being black talk. That, that's where we're in now. People who are saying everything is DEI, and if they're saying everything is DEI, then we're going to talk about it, right? I'm so glad that you guys joined us today for our Hot Topics at 10 a.m. Make sure you join us at 5 o'clock Eastern time for our live at 5 as well. And make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you hit the likes. It affects the algorithm, and it's important to us. More people will get to learn about our community, our channel, and they'll get to be a part of the conversation. So we love that you are here. So thank you so much for watching. I love you for watching, as a matter of fact, and I'll see you at 5 o'clock Eastern time. Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, Thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.